guys, welcome to my Midlife Capers. I'm Kara, and today I'm going to do a quick video on some of the safety and security considerations that come with living in a camper, and go over some of the tools that I have for that and some of the rules I've made for myself to give myself a sense of safety and security. I'm not an expert, first of all, and there are probably lots of videos out there that cover this sort of thing more extensively and with maybe better advice. This is just what I have chosen to do for myself based on things that I've watched online and what is going to give me a sense of comfort. So the first rule really it's one I learned from another person I saw online, and it's something I've heard over the years growing up, especially around military people, is if you've got one, you've got none. In other words, you'd better have a backup because things fail, and that's just an inevitable fact of life. And if you're not prepared with a backup, you may as well have not had any at all. Whether that's a way to start a fire or a way to open a can or rope to tie something off, a variety of things like that. So that's one of the most important things that I live by. So I apply that to making sure that I have redundancies. Sometimes it's just having more than one of something. Sometimes it's having a different option in case I'm in a situation where one option won't work. For example, my camper is wired, and so as long as I can plug into something, I'm good to go on electricity, as long as I'm mindful of how much I try to run through the outlets.
Yeah, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
I can do pretty much whatever I need to. But if I end up in a camping situation where I don't have a 30 amp power outlet to plug into, I do have an adapter for a 50 amp if that is an option, but I don't have one to go lower than that. But if I'm at a primitive site that just doesn't have that as an option, I do have my Yeti power bank, and I can charge devices on it several times before I have to recharge the bank itself. And I can also run things that require a regular power outlet as well. They do, depending on the wattage of them, they can drain the battery faster, so I may not be able to use them for an extended period. But if I need to do something quick, say I needed to run my printer and print off something, I could do that with the Yeti power bank with no problem. I'm not sure I would try to run my toaster oven off of it, but I could definitely run my coffee pot. So I have that as a redundancy in terms of a way to get power, but it is a different type of tool for that. Another area is water, and I can plug into any city water outlet and have water run into my sink. But if that's not an option, I do have a water tank in one of the banquette seats that has a water pump, and I can still run water that way. That's not something that I would travel with because it adds an enormous amount of weight to what I'm towing. But then I also buy big jugs of water for a variety of purposes. If I'm feeling like where I am, maybe the water isn't as potable as I would like it to be. So again, I have redundancies there. Another area where I have redundancy is with my first aid kit. I have a big one here in the camper. I have a smaller one that I carry in my backpack, and then I have some other basics just in the car as well. So I'm covered on those types of needs for pretty much the basic things that I might encounter. Obviously, a more serious injury is going to require something different, but then I'm not going to be trying to treat that in my camper anyway. The next category, I guess, would be in the area of communications. I have my cell phone, and I have a laptop, and I have other resources for being able to send emails and texts and that kind of thing. but I also carry a Garmin InReach that allows me to connect to a satellite and send emergency communications if necessary. I have not had a chance to use it yet, which is a good thing, but it's a really cool tool. So I kind of wish I could use it for something not emergent, but it's not cheap, so I'm saving that for an occasion when I really would need it. And then I have my Starlink satellite that allows me to connect to the internet as long as I have a fairly unobstructed view of the sky. If I'm in like a tree canopied area, that makes it a little bit more complicated to get a signal there. But if a campground doesn't have Wi-Fi or doesn't have strong Wi-Fi, my Starlink satellite is a really great resource to have, and pretty much essential because I'm still trying to do work and support my clients and do my own project and upload these videos and everything. So having a good solid internet connection is really important. I do carry some forms of personal protection. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on what I have because I just don't want to put that out there. The one thing I will say is that even though I was encouraged to carry a gun, I'm going through so many states where all the gun laws are very different, and I didn't want to have to deal with whatever hassles I might run into from state to state on something like that. And I'm not comfortable with handling firearms anyway that much, so it just wasn't something that I felt was a priority. Plus, if I find myself in a situation where that would have been a necessity, then I've done a variety of other things wrong up to that point, and and broken a lot of my own rules up to that point. So that one was not a consideration for me, and that kind of goes into some of the other rules I have. For example, I am not posting in real time, so I'm not telegraphing my location when I put up something that does include information about a site or a place I've visited. It's not a place I've been for quite a while, so I'm trying to keep myself protected in that way. I'm also making sure to stay in as many campsites that are reputable and well protected and have a lot of people who are seasonal there, so that I know that it's a good solid community, and I'm not having to worry about there being a lot of shady people there, and or transient people who are maybe looking for opportunities for crime and that kind of thing. I also don't leave things accessible that I can't afford to lose. If I'm going to leave the camper for a while, I take things with me that I can't, that are hard to replace, or at least would be expensive to replace. The other thing that I do is to make sure that there is at least one person who knows where I actually am at all times, and I stay in communication with my family and close friends every step of the way, just so that they're more comfortable and I'm more comfortable, and if something were to come up, they would know how to track me down, and if necessary, get help to me if I wasn't able to call for that for myself. So those are pretty much the rules I follow. I guess the last thing really is just trust my gut. Even if I've just gotten to a campground and set up, if something happens that makes me feel uneasy, I'm not going to stay in it. I will go ahead and pack things back up and go get a hotel for the night, because I'm not going to take unnecessary risks, and I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I feel vulnerable. It's not worth it. Because if I'm feeling uneasy about a situation, I'm not going to rest well, and then I'm going to be tired the next day. If I did have to move at that point, I would be more prone to making mistakes and possibly hurting myself. So I'm going to default for whatever feels right in that moment. So let's face it, life in a camper on the road can be an intimidating thing. But if you're following some basic principles and common sense, there's no reason that you should feel insecure or at loose ends in a situation like this. So I'm following the rules and enjoying my life out here in a camper, and I will see you on the road. Thanks.